You're listening to a new episode of The Brave Technologist. This one features Camila Russo, who's the founder of the Defiant, a media company focusing on decentralized finance, and the author of The Infinite Machine, the most read book on the history of Ethereum. Previously, she was a markets and cryptos reporter at Bloomberg News. In this episode, we discussed the importance of making crypto digestible and accessible to the masses and how they're doing this at the Defiant, ways they're leveraging AI in their content creation, and roles she thinks that they should never be replaced. We discuss some of the biggest myths and misconceptions about Ethereum, along with how regulation is impacting growth and development of DeFi. Now for this week's episode of The Brave Technologist. Camila, thanks for joining us on The Brave Technologist today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, why don't we, to get the audience a little bit familiar, how about you tell us a little bit about the work you're doing and why it's important for the space and kind of how you landed there?
Sure. So I'm the founder of The Defiant. The Defiant is a media company focusing on decentralized finance and Web3. And I'm also the author of The Infinite Machine. And Infinite Machine is the first book on the history of Ethereum. And why I think The Defiant and Infinite Machine are important. Well, with The Defiant, we're trying to bring professional, unbiased, independent journalism to DeFi and Web3 and crypto more broadly. Previously to founding The Defiant, I was a reporter at Bloomberg News for 8 years covering markets. So my goal was to bring the high standards that I learned at Bloomberg to crypto and create a media company that really covered the space in a professional way that was actually independent journalism and not PR or not investment advice, which in crypto is many times conflated. So that's what we try to do at the Defiant. And then the Infinite Machine, like I said, it was the first book on the history of Ethereum. I think it's the most read book on the history of Ethereum as well. So with this book, it's written so that anyone can understand what crypto is, what blockchains are, and to bring kind of a face to a topic that might seem difficult or boring for people kind of not deeply involved in this in crypto. So the Infinite Machine is told as a novel, like the story of the people behind Ethereum, and then by the way you get to learn about the technology and how it works. But the main point is like to tell the story of how it was founded and why it was founded and how it works and like its potential. So yeah, those are kind of my two main projects.
That's awesome. How did you kind of find your way to Ethereum? Was it mainly through your reporting, or was there a certain thing that kind of pulled you in?
Yeah, so at Bloomberg, I started covering crypto day to day in 2017. I was in a macro markets team, and it was a blog, so we were writing about kind of market moves. 2017 was obviously very big for crypto. And I had been interested in crypto ever since 2013 when I was with Bloomberg, but in Argentina. And I covered how the Bitcoin community in Argentina at the time was growing because people were using Bitcoin to protect their savings and investments from inflation and currency control. So since then, I always thought it was fascinating. And so in 2017, with crypto kind of exploding and there being a lot of appetite for crypto content, I took the opportunity to write about crypto at Bloomberg, and obviously 2017 was kind of the ICO boom, and
Right.
so behind ICOs was Ethereum, and so it was writing about this, reporting, and I just thought it was so interesting. And by the end of the year, I decided to pitch to write a book on the history of Ethereum because I had always wanted to write a book. and I was on the lookout for, what could be a good book idea. And I realized nobody had told the story of Ethereum. So I thought that was important to have in kind of one consolidated place. So yeah, that's how it came to Ethereum. And then, all through 2018, 2019, I was just like very, very deep in that community and ecosystem, researching, did over 100 interviews, went to all the conferences and hackathons, just like, traveled to like all the main Ethereum hubs, like to Switzerland in Zug and Berlin and Waterloo, Canada, like all the, main kind of places where there were Ethereum co-founders or like big, were like big Ethereum hubs. So yeah, and then, that's how I then that then led me to the Defiant as well.
Yeah, that's like such an exciting time too in the space, and it kind of is interesting too, like with your background, because right after that ICO era, right, like things kind of jumped right into DeFi, right, and coming from kind of working, on the Bloomberg side, like how better, like what better background to have to try and kind of like break down DeFi to people. So for folks who might not, like, we have a lot of leading edge technologists people that listen to the show, and a lot of Brave fans. Some of them might not be as familiar to DeFi on the crypto side. Like, how do you kind of explain DeFi to somebody unfamiliar? From that high level.
Sure. So DeFi is short for decentralized finance, and it's the ecosystem or the group of financial applications that are being built on blockchain networks. So that means that they are using smart contracts and non-custodial wallets to as a kind of the back rails for these financial applications. So they are different from, say, centralized finance, CeFi, which is, in crypto terms, financial applications built on centralized entities like Coinbase or Binance. In that Coinbase and Binance hold users' assets, so they custody assets. They use centralized servers. They're building in closed source software, whereas decentralized finance uses non-custodial wallets. So that means there is no centralized entity custodying funds, but each user is responsible for their own funds. Software is open sourced and is often automated with smart contracts. So it's software that is running on blockchains that can't be censored, can't be stopped or disrupted. So to me, it's just a very exciting, or the most exciting sector in crypto. It's crypto how it was meant to be, like truly permissionless, um, uh, breaking down the barriers to financial services. Because in DeFi, because it's non-custodial, permissionless, and runs on blockchains, anyone can access uh, financial services. Like anyone, anywhere, no matter if you're unbanked in Venezuela, you can still access stable coins earning yield on Ethereum. So that's kind of the use case and kind of difference with CeFi and obviously traditional finance.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think that's really sums it up pretty well. I mean, and from your position too, I mean, as somebody with a media company, I would imagine too, you get a good look at like how regulations are kind of impacting things, and from all around. I imagine, like, how much of how do you see the regulatory side really impacting things, and from your point of view, are they already impacting kind of the growth of DeFi more broadly?
Yeah, definitely. So regulation is a big part of DeFi growth, because DeFi is so kind of in the frontier of crypto that it is in a gray area at the moment, especially in the US. So the US has taken a very a kind of a skeptical stance when it comes to DeFi, and with the SEC saying that most tokens are securities, that all kind of money transmitters must comply with KYC procedures, and that it might consider wallets to be money transmitters. And so in that case, everything I was saying, these like non-custodial, smart contract based systems just simply can't work because non-custodial wallets cannot perform KYC on their users. So there have been like all these legislations that haven't gone through, but that have been proposed and that have been supported by both parties, which have created a lot of uncertainty around the DeFi ecosystem in the US. But that's not the same in Asia and Europe, which have taken a much friendlier approach to DeFi and crypto more broadly. And that has obviously created a disadvantage for crypto builders and the crypto industry in the US. And I think that's obviously a very poor strategic decision from the part of U.S. lawmakers and politicians, because crypto is a already big and growing industry. It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay, and so other countries are realizing this and are taking all this talent and potential value and growth that was in the U.S. and it's all of that is going elsewhere. So that's where we stand right now. But I think we've seen some encouraging signs from the current presidential candidates. They have both turned a bit more pro crypto. I think they're realizing what's happening, and so hopefully the regulatory environment improves in the US. But I think the bottom line is that crypto has continued to grow even with this kind of regulatory overhang, and founders just go elsewhere, and blockchains continue to be global and permissionless. So you can't really stop it. You can slow the industry's growth, specifically kind of in jurisdictions that are not so friendly. But like I said, like builders will just go where they're welcome.
Yeah, totally. No, it makes a lot of sense. I'm just kind of curious too, because I don't really talk to very many people who have like a media company in the space, and
Mm-hmm.
the space can get really tribal, right? Like, and so you kind of have these like geographic, areas of interest, but then there's also, there you got like hardcore Ethereum people or Bitcoin people or Solana people. Like, does a Defiant kind of have people reporting on all of these different networks, or how much of a challenge is that kind of audience, having that tribal audience that all is kind of always wanting news from your point of view? Like, do you all have people reporting on networks all over the world, or is it more kind of focused on a certain, blockchain than another? Or can you give us, our audience, a little bit of
Sure.
background on that?
So at the Defiant, we've been purposely chain agnostic. So we're covering DeFi and Web3 wherever it lives. So early on, we were very kind of Ethereum centric because most of DeFi was happening on Ethereum. But as soon as we saw other applications be built on other chains, early on it was BNB, Binance Smart Chain. Then it was Solana that started gaining traction. Now, on top of Solana, there's also Ton, and there's Avalanche, and so many other layer ones and layer twos. And to me, there's no point in segmenting our focus on one chain, because the truth is, there are important developments to report across chains, and it would be a disservice to our audience to not show that reality. And our view is we will report the facts, and we trust that our audience is smart enough to make their own decisions. And maybe some people are decentralization maxis and they will go for Ethereum or Bitcoin, but not everyone has the same priorities. Maybe someone just like wants to send money cheaply and they don't care about sending it on Tron. But
Right.
That's their decision to make, right? Like as a news organization, we're not gonna like tell them or pass judgment. It's our role is to just report the facts and trust our audience will, make their own smart decisions.
How much do you get much readership outside of the crypto space? I'm just kind of curious, like if you ever, from your point of view, what common misconceptions about kind of Ethereum and DeFi do you encounter from people? Maybe they're not totally familiar with the crypto space or just kind of learning, and just interested in your point of view from that as somebody in the media on this front.
Yeah. I guess like the biggest misconception is that that all of DeFi or like most of crypto is used for illicit activities. I think that's kind of the like one question I keep getting. But crypto is for criminals, or and it's something it's a myth that's been debunked multiple times through multiple sources, from independent kind of on-chain analysis firms like Chainalysis, Elliptic. All of their research shows that illicit activity is a small fraction of most activity happening on chain. And also, FBI reports also show that. And that actually, blockchains are really, really bad tool for criminals because everything is stored in public ledgers. So, all you need to do is like connect a wallet to an individual, and then you have their entire transaction history. So I think that's kind of the biggest misconception I see. And then another one is that I don't know if it's a misconception, but I think it's like the perception that crypto is only used for like buying and selling tokens. So it's kind of like a bit of a casino. Like you're just like throwing money at these like random coins and like hope like one of them takes off. And there's a lot of that, of course. Like speculation is a big part of it. But like I said, I think to me at least, like the exciting side of crypto is the fact that it is rebuilding a parallel financial system, and that it's actually working right now. So you do have like something as simple as cheap cross-border payments on stablecoins that's working, and from multiple chains, they're processing hundreds of millions of dollars in value every day, billions of dollars a month in cross-border payments, and then earning yield like savings, and getting an interest on your money. That's a really important use case that just like helps people build wealth wherever they are, and that's also working. Taking out collateralized loans, so like secured lending, that's also a big use case that's already working in DeFi. So there's like all of these like actual financial applications that are not about just like buying and selling tokens, that are more sophisticated than that, and just that are building the pillars of blockchain based financial system. So I think that's kind of something that I think is like hugely transformational. Like it can revolutionize finance, and that's happening kind of under our noses, but I don't think most people realize it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think people outside the U.S., especially or people inside the U.S., I think have no idea just how difficult the banking systems are outside of the U.S., right? And how much this stuff really opens up the world of finance to them, and in a new way, which is great. I think so I'm really curious too, because you came in the ICO phase kind of like 2017, and it was like crypto didn't seem it seemed like there was more of a question of like, okay, will it make it or not, right? And now you've got like ETFs, like and major institutions that are starting to use crypto. Like with your role at the Defiant, how is the media side evolved, and what where do you see as like the Defiant's role in kind of this space as institutions start to play more, and the sector gets bigger and bigger over time?
Yeah, so the the media ecosystem in crypto is becoming more and more sophisticated. Like I'm seeing coverage in mainstream publications improve over time. Like before, um, most mainstream media didn't have a crypto team. Now they do. You have a lot more, knowledgeable reporters and editors. So I think quality of coverage in crypto is improving in mainstream media, but it remains mostly superficial. Like they'll, just cover major moves, and only the biggest projects. But for like deeper coverage, obviously you have crypto dedicated media, and there's been a growth of companies covering crypto as well, and then I think the quality there varies greatly. And that's what I was mentioning at the beginning of our conversation. A lot of it is not actually journalism. And so I think, that's important for audiences and for people to be aware that a lot of the information in crypto, does have an agenda behind it, from companies who are paying to get out there and get kind of favorable coverage, or from a lot of the content is coming from VCs and investors who have their own media arm and have their own podcasts, and so obviously that does come with conflicts of interest. And I think that content is still good, but I think it's just important, for people to kind of realize where those conflicts might be. And so the Defiant's role here is to just provide unbiased professional journalism about the space, and to also be specialized, because there's many great crypto focused news outlets, but many of them are just covering generalist crypto. At the Defiant, we are the biggest media company focusing specifically on the on-chain world, like DeFi, Web3, all of the applications built specifically on-chain. Which I mean, obviously, because I founded the Defiant, I think it's the most interesting side of crypto. So yeah, that's our role, providing unbiased professional journalism, specifically about the on-chain side of crypto.
And how much of it is it a lot of written articles, or are you all doing video or audio content too?
Yeah,
or what's the media mix like?
Yeah, we have a multi-channel organization. So we have a free newsletter and a paid newsletter, a weekly podcast, a YouTube channel, and our website with daily news articles.
Awesome. Kind of looking forward too. I mean, what trends do you see in crypto and in DeFi or any other areas that you think are going to stick around, for the next 5 years or however long, from what you're seeing? Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So going forward, I believe crypto will continue growing. I think more and more finance will come on chain. And down the line, I don't think maybe it's going to be 5 years from now or 10. But I think most of finance will be running on blockchains. So yeah, I think it's clear that blockchains are just a better, more efficient way of transferring value. So it just makes a lot of sense to me that more traditional institutions and banks will move their operations on chain. So that's kind of the long-term vision, and to get there, then that means like we'll continue seeing growth of all these DeFi applications that I mentioned before. So stable coins and payments and tokenized real world assets that has become a huge trend, bringing US treasuries on chain, bringing equities on chain, um, lending and borrowing, all of these pillars of finance, which are happening now, but in a very kind of niche way in crypto, will continue. Will start growing and growing until it just becomes finance and not DeFi.
And kind of as a publisher or like a media a company, I mean, AI is really blown up recently, and you see some corners of the world people concerned about impact for publishers on that front. Like, how are you all looking at AI, like as a media organization? Is it something you all are using? Are you all concerned about it at all? Like, really curious for your take on that.
So I think media companies can benefit from AI and use it to their advantage. So, for example, we have partnered with an AI news company to publish stories that we are not covering directly. So, like I said, we specialize in DeFi. We have a small team, so we don't have a lot of room to cover many non-DeFi crypto news. So for those stories, we'll push an AI story from our partner. And reporters also use AI to summarize long filings. And I think they might use it to help write, but I think that's where kind of just actual humans contribute the most, researching, reporting, and writing original news stories and features. So I think if news organizations use a combination of both, like original reporting plus AI, where it doesn't make sense to use their own staff, I think we can benefit. What's a bit concerning is I don't know where we stand with kind of attribution when AIs use our stories for their answers and they don't attribute, or we lose that traffic. I think hopefully news organizations can exert enough pressure so that is amended and links are included so that we continue to get that traffic. Otherwise, AIs will have no original content to get their news from,
right?
Information from.
No, it's awesome. And yeah, like I think I know we covered a lot here. You've been super gracious with your time. Is there anything here that we didn't cover today that you would like our audience to know about?
Well, I don't know. I just encourage everyone to visit the Defiant.io, to subscribe to our newsletter. You'll find the links there. We provide just a very quick daily newsletter where we curate all, there's so much noise in crypto that I think we do a really good job in distilling what's actually important. So yeah, encourage everyone to do that. And yeah, if you're looking for a book on crypto, The Infinite Machine. Something else to add, I'm currently looking for time to write a second book. So it'll be kind of a sequel to The Infinite Machine, but more focused on DeFi than on kind of Ethereum itself. So that's something I'd add on kind of what I'm looking forward to in the next few months.
Awesome. I was going to ask if another book was on the horizon, so appreciate you sharing that bit. And yeah, like I'll just echo that too. Like I've been following the Defiant for a long time, and like you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, it is really hard to find good independent information out there. So like I strongly encourage everybody to give it a look, give the book a read too. It's fantastic. And yeah, where can people find you online too, if they want to follow along?
Sure. I'm on Twitter at Camila Russo.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Camila, for dropping by. I really appreciate it. Love to have you back too, especially anything you all are looking to promote or get the word out about that our audience would like to hear about. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Brave Technologist podcast. To never miss an episode, make sure you hit follow in your podcast app. If you haven't already made the switch to the Brave browser, you can download it for free today at brave.com and start using Brave Search, which enables you to search the web privately. Brave also shields you from the ads, trackers, and other creepy stuff following you across the web.